friends. So I just finished reading the other day the book Blood of Hercules, and if anybody is interested in reading that, there's going to be spoilers, so this is your time to leave. Song Love Myself by Abel Hart is on. So in the book The Blood of Hercules, it's about a girl who was in a foster home, and they were not very good to her at all. And then she found out at 19 that she had special blood that sent her into like the Spartan and like the Spartan world with like all of the Olympians and all of this stuff. And she had to go through all of these tests to essentially become an immortal being. She didn't ask to be a part of it, and her mentors were actually like very disgusted with her and that considered her weak because she was essentially like starved in her like human life. She wasn't eating. Like, her and her brother barely had enough to get by. They were living in a cardboard box out in like the wild and all this stuff. She was beaten regularly by her foster parents. And so they perceived her as weak, but what they didn't know is she was probably the strongest person they'd ever come in contact with. But she had so much less, and she was still keeping up with all of these other men because she was the first female to compete in forever. And so she was competing with all of these men, her peers, and still like keeping up with them, even though she was malnourished, even though she had like so many fractures and all of this stuff. And she wasn't raised in the community. Like, she didn't even understand anything that was going on. She didn't know she was special. I guess most people in that like alternate universe knew that they were special. And she didn't know that because of like, again, her upbringing. She didn't know she was special, and because of her upbringing, she ends up going through the whole thing and, you know, finds out she is actually Hercules. She is actually, in this series, Hercules is actually the child of Hades and Persephone. And she was like, ended up being the strongest thing. Anyways, so somebody doesn't understand how special they are. Somebody doesn't know that they were hidden in plain sight, and somebody perceives themselves as weak because they are comparing themselves to people who had an upper hand, people who had good night rest and slept in a bed, people who were fed regularly, people who understand the culture, people who understood their powers, knew what their powers were going into this thing, kind of giving Hunger Games vibes, right? And so, like, she had this severe disadvantage, yet she still outperformed everybody. And I don't want to say that she outperformed everybody in everything, but she was definitely smarter. She was definitely quicker. She was definitely more resilient than those who were going up against her. She also, so you also find out that she had like dark blood, again, because like Hades and Persephone's child. And therefore her powers were a little bit darker, but she fought her entire life to be nothing like her foster parents. So even though she had this dark DNA, this underworld DNA, and then she grew up in a home that was very icky and dark and gross and, you know, all of that stuff, she still chose the light, which is what made her so uniquely special. Because you can, throughout the narrative, throughout the whole story, it's like, I'm not going to do the bad things. I'm not going to turn out like them. I am not going to be like them. She wanted so badly to be good and to create change within the system. She did everything she needed to do to respect spirit, God, the universe, whatever her morals and integrity aligned with. And she didn't care whether or not other people agreed with her mindset. She actually didn't even want to be there at all. She stuck to the basics because, again, she didn't know anything about what was happening. I forget what they called, the Crucible is what they called the little thing, the Hunger Games thing. And so it's like she was stuck to the basics because that's all she knew. She didn't have this intricate understanding of what was happening, so she could only stick to the basics. And I'm hearing that's all you need sometimes is the basics, is a solid understanding of the fundamentals to get where you're going. You don't need to have all of this fancy language or this fancy knowledge or this advanced knowledge in any way, shape, or form, as long as you have a strong foundation, strong fundamentals. As long as you can read the room is what I'm hearing, especially with like the seeing the signs. If you can read the room, you've got it. And she was very, very good at reading the room. She always sensed when something was off. Like, she might have not understood what was happening, what that undertone was, what the underlying messages were, but she always suspected that there was something, especially with her snake friend, Nyx. The snake also cued her in and translated a little bit of that, like, other stuff. Interesting. On the Ascension card, I just put the Eight of Cups in reverse, and in this deck, it's the Departure. So, in the face of danger, so Ascension is not all of this butterflies and rainbows to get to higher vibrations. There's a lot of darkness that we have to face. And in this card, it is in reverse, but like this card, this cat is walking away from the light to go into the dark. And I very much feel like this collective, whether or not you wanted to do it or you recognize that you did it, you walked straight into the darkness to get to your higher self. Like, I'm hearing you walked down to the depths of hell to get up. They're showing me what dreams may come. I'm pretty sure with Robin Williams, where like him and his son end up going to hell to get, like, spoilers, to get his wife from hell and like bring her up to heaven or whatever. Like, it's kind of giving that, like, you went to the depths of hell so you could actually get to heaven. Kind of vibes. So you went to, like, you didn't leave at the face of danger. You faced it head on. And that's why your vibrations raised, which is why everything's coming in for you the way it's going to. Up or down? Hermit. You went into Hermit. You did all of the work in the dark. So much darkness. So much darkness. And I like feel it in my chest. There's a lot of darkness that you have overcome, and I don't know if you've ever taken time to really process what you've overcome. I'm not saying like be all sad about everything that's bad that's happened to you. I mean, you can do that, and I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to do that. But you can just kind of acknowledge everything that you've overcome, that other people around you, your peers specifically, those that are at the same level as you, you have overcome more than they have ever had to overcome. And I'm not trying to minimize what your peers have gone through, but I am just saying it is just facts. You went into something with like a severe disadvantage and you're still doing it. And you just need to give yourself more credit for being at the same place as your peers with that severe disadvantage. You forced yourself through the basics, understanding your basics, understanding where you morally lie, where your integrity is, understanding like the basics of grounding and what it is that you need to do, and understanding how to get to your goals and all of that. You didn't overcomplicate it. You kept it very simple. Every single day you kept it very simple, which is why you were able to unload all of these wands, 10 of wands here, in reverse. You were able to provide yourself with some sort of enlightenment by releasing all of these burdens. Yeah, the breakup. The burdens of the things that you've had to separate yourself from. The things that you saw, I don't like the way that these are unfolding, and instead of breaking up with these people or like creating chaos, I'm just going to kind of fade into the distance. You saw the writing on the wall and you got out before it got bad. And now I'm hearing the song Burning Down by Alex Warren. Like, you saw that this house was on fire or whatever and I had to get out. Whatever the lyrics are. Two of Wands. There's going to be some sort of discussion with somebody soon about moving forward, about like what does it look like to move forward. I'm hearing very specific but also very vague plans. And it's because of all the humility and surrendering that you have done during this process. And again, remember I said, like, you don't even understand the disadvantage that you've had, yet here you are thriving at the top of the class, and like you still just don't understand that level of humility, because you're just like, I don't know, I'm just like everybody else and I'm just gonna surrender, I'm just gonna do this. Like, you didn't really have a choice, and you're kind of in that energy of I didn't have a choice, I just did what I needed to do. And because of that, Two of Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles, because of your patience, because of going where you didn't know you were going, because of the blind faith that you have had, you are about to be blessed significantly. Communication, again, Four of Wands. 1111, yeah, some sort of messenger, communication, messenger. Your dreams are about to come through, or come true. Come through, they're about to come through for you. There's no need for you to fear. Yep. Just pause. Everything is coming into balance.